Good morning, good evening, whatever time zone you're in. Happy to have you here. Just letting you all know, beforehand, I am only doing this in one take, so I am not going to redo this. Anyway, thanks to all the people who were watching the live stream for Crown Fiend's birthday. My man he was just vibing with us, and it was nice for him to shout out my channel, and he pushed me up to 100 subscribers, and thank you all as well who were sticking with me before the whole push happened. So he gets a birthday wish and I get another part to record. As well as I said I'll drop the part early because of a live stream later on. So, yeah, context behind this. Also, I'm not doing this scripted at all. Haven't been doing it for the past two What If parts. But this one's even better because I haven't had the whole thing planned out, but I've got at least something in the works. Alright, now let's stop dawdling on, and let's get right into it. Now, there are going to be a few changes. In this series, Inko has a different quirk. The mother and father had a plant-based quirk, which allowed them to grow plants a lot faster, and was passed down into Inko. She was still considered weak, as her plant manipulation and being able to grow plants faster was not seen good for much else besides farming. So her family was often owned a lot of farms, and they were running one of the best in the business until they had to move out to the country, which is where they had met Hisashi. Hisashi was also a farmer. He also had a quirk as well that was very similar to hers, except rather than speeding up the growth of plants, he could manipulate the way they curled around certain vine structures and grow vines from his skin. And they had fallen in love after meeting one another one day as she was passing through a farmer's market. They were just both entranced by each other and had so much in common. Their quirks, their family's business, and eventually, after a few years, they decided to settle down and get married. They had two children, twins. One was Ibara Midoriya and Izuku Midoriya. Now, the twins were very, very different from each other. Izuku had a very, very shy nature. He always kept to himself, but he loved planting and would often talk for hours and hours to his mother about plants and other sorts of animals as such. So he was very entranced by all the plants around, and he just loved farming. Now Ibara, she had a love for religion, as Hisashi was religious, but Ibara often astounded him at how at such a young age she could recite Bible verses and was very biblical, as well as spreading her faith to everybody she knew. Everybody always called her the, well, the crazy Mother Mary, because of how often she would rant on about the Lord and religion. Now, since they had grown up in the countryside, they were in a small community in a small school, which they had met another person that had a very similar love, but this one was for animals. Izuku got on very, very well with. His name was Kota, sorry. He would often be very shy and almost never talk. However, Izuku could just tell that he was a very kind-spirited and kind-souled person. He was often followed by birds, and the birds would go sit on Midoriya's head. Now, there were people who used to bully the three nature-loving freaks, as they called them. They often made fun of Kota's appearance, and they often said disregarding things about Midoriya's hair color as well as Ibara's, calling Midoriya Kelphead and Ibara Vine Lady. These boys were very stupid in their eyes, and Izuku just didn't feel like fighting back because he was too kind to do so. He just laughed along with them, then walked away. Now, when they were four years old, they decided to go in for the examination after Ibara had shown signs of her quirk awakening. After one night, in the middle of the night, Ibara woke up and her hair was on fire. It felt like her head was burning, and she ran into her mum and dad's room. Says, "Mum, Dad, help! Like, feels like my head's on fire." Inko quickly turned on the lights and right beside the bed and says, "Sweetie, come here. Show me your head. What's wrong?" It feels like it's burning. It hurts. And that's when Inko saw the hair started to clump together, and she just thought that the hair was rolled up and it started to hurt. But after slowly watching, she could see that it was fusing together and turning into vines. "Honey, it's wake up, look at this." Hisashi slowly gets up and's like, "What is it?" It it's Ibara. Her quirk is manifesting. Are you serious? Yes, look. It's like yours. The vines. Oh, we better get you to the hospital now. Come on. Honey, go grab the Izuku. I'll get Ibara in the car. Alright, Inko. As the couple raced off to the hospital with both Ibara and Midoriya in tow, as they got into the clinic late at night, and as it was an emergency because it seemed like her daughter was in lots of pain, Ingo said, "Can I please see a doctor straight away? My daughter's begun to show signs of her quirk." Yes, ma'am. Could you just please fill out these papers first?" And after a little while of waiting, they decided they called in one of the specialists very early in the morning. "So, what was the emergency, miss?" "Well, my daughter's awakened her quirk, and it seems to cause her a lot of pain, and we want to know what's happening." Alright, after looking at Izuku as well, and so, "Are they twins by any chance?" Yes. Yes, they are." "Hmm. Well, he squats down in front of Ibai and says, 'We'll run a few tests, and just to be sure, we'll have your brother join you for some support, and we also want to test to make sure that since he is your twin, he might not be identical, but he might have the same quirk. So I just want to check to see if he will awaken the same in the same way and if it will cause him pain.'" Being not wanting to see her brother in pain and just wanted the Lord to grant her and her brother just a smooth transition, she said, Okay." After a couple hours of examining, the doctor just came out to Inko and Hisashi, saying that, "Well, after looking at both your son and your daughter, we have concluded that your son has already awakened his quirk. He just never realized. And the quirk that was manifesting from your daughter was seems to be a mutation of both of your quirks as well. Uh, so what exactly is her quirk? Well, her quirk is called vines. The She's able to manipulate all the vines that grow out of the back of her skull and out of her scalp, almost as if they're an extension of her own body, which they are. They can grow back within sunlight, and she requires a lot of water if she wants to grow them quickly. And it also seems like she can detach them as well without any harm to her body. As for your son, however, his quirk is quite different, yet much more powerful. His quirk is just plant life in general. Anything that has a plant type eukaryotic cell is able to be manipulated at a subatomic level. The best way I can describe it is we have called his quirk chlorokinesis, the manipulation of plant and all biological matter. So it is much like your quirk, Inko, and your quirk as well, Tasashi. But instead, his case is he's able to control and grow all sorts of kinds of plant matter very quickly and able to manipulate it very easily. We noticed that being in close proximity to your son actually forced her quirk to awaken. That was why the burning sensation was so prevalent. Ah, I see. They both have breathed a sigh of relief that it wasn't anything dangerous. And after that, they had both gone home. And with the children now excited about their quirks, once they get back to school, they had noticed Ibarra had vines for hair now instead of her natural green color that was there before. And it seems that Izuku had a bigger smile on his face now, but yeah, he still seemed very closed off. So the children were being very curious and decided to ask, "So, is that your quirk?" And when Ibarra responded, "Yes, it's my quirk," and was like, "Wow, you're so weird. I That's freaky. Quirk. Well, what is that quirk gonna do? All that's gonna do is just cause you to not be able to sleep properly. You look like Medusa." Some of the boys were just saying very negative comments. The girls were just staying back trying to mind their own business and not get into any trouble. Izuku, however, this time just didn't like hearing the boys talk about his sister. She would normally be unaffected by the comments, but she seemed very down after they insulted her quirk and her hair. So he got a bit angry. This was the first time Ibarra could just tell something wasn't right about him, because he was always so timid and very gentle in nature. But this time he was very angry and she could feel a rumble in the ground, but the boys just didn't notice. As roots and vines started wrapping around their legs and holding them in place. And as Izuku was glaring at them, Ibarra runs over to him. "Stop, stop! It was just what they said. Don't let it bother you." After the boys saw that it was Izuku, they tried to break free. However, the teachers had to try and escape, which was no use. The roots were wrapped around their legs. Ibarra was trying to calm her brother down. "Izuku, stop! Stop, please! I don't care what they say." As he snaps out of it and just says, Sorry, it just upset me. I don't like people. I don't like people putting each other down. I understand. Just don't take it too far. All right. And after the bullies, well, people that tried to bully Ibarra saw that Izuku was being very protective of her. They decided not to be around the pair of them. And a few weeks later, Kota had awakened his quirk and a voice. And so, even with him being very shy and not talking, he could understand that he was very excited to be able to speak to his pets and his bird-like birds and all the animals around them, as they were out near the mountains, which was very famous for growing some of the best watermelons in the prefecture. As time passes over, now the farming family had to move out of the prefecture because of schooling, as there was not very many schools, and they had the children had expressed the desire to want to become heroes. But Izuku, he was content with being a hero, but he wanted to be able to help his family as well. So bringing an awareness to farmers and being able to put their household name on, like inside the news, was his true goal. So when it was around the final year of middle school, the family had moved out over towards Tokyo, and they had gone to a high school. They had gone to a high school, a middle school that was well known, but not anywhere near to being one of the top schools. This is where they had met a. This is where they had met a brash young man with spiky blonde hair and a bit of a temper tantrum issue. Izuku tried to be friendly with the boy, however, the boy was just very mean, often calling him names like Kelp Head or Lettuce Head because of his messy green hair. However, Izuku just tried to brush it off. When it came to the topic of their quirks, after he's after Izuku tried to explain what his quirk was, Bakugo just started laughing at him. Ah, plants, that's your quirk? So you're saying you're gonna throw a flower at me? Your your quirk is so useless. At least your sister has somewhat of a useful quirk. She can actually do something, unlike you. What are you gonna do? Throw a seed at me? Or better yet, throw a pot plant? Ah, you and your damn green thumb. Looks like it didn't really pay off. Oh, I could be a farmer though. Ah, just be like your parents. Get their hands covered in dirt and no respect from it. He he just kept going and going until eventually Izuku just didn't want to listen to it anymore. And they had to, and as soon as class ended, he had just decided to walk under a tunnel to take a shortcut home because he really wanted to think. Ibarra tried to catch up, trying to ask him where he was going. He says, "Oh, I gotta get home real quick. I need to get one of my textbooks. I left it. Well, I need to get to use one of my textbooks." Ibarra could just tell that her brother was upset, but decided not to ask him any further, as she was going to go hang out with some of her friends. So, late as he was passing under a tunnel, he had heard he had heard a weird creak as he turned around to see a hulking mass of green sludge and sewage pouring up under the manhole cover. Hey there, kid. Let's say I'm kinda on the run. You look like you're nice enough. Now come on, just lend me your body for a few seconds. It'll be all painless and quick and it'll be over soon. As they as the villain went to go attack Izuku, he saw that he just out of instinct pushed his hand forward and tried to attack with his vines and with his plants. However, he realized, shit, this is the city. There's no plants around. So after his futile attempt to try and fight back, he reached into his pocket and threw some seeds inside of the sludge villain. Ah, how cute. You really think you can attack me with seeds? Ah, what are you gonna do? Season me? As Izuku was making a last-ditch effort to try and slow him down, he managed to manipulate the seeds inside of the sludge villain to start growing and growing and growing and just keep growing until he almost lost consciousness. He managed to get the sludge villain out of his mouth and be able to breathe. Someone help me! As he heard, ha ha ha, I am here, and a huge gust of wind bursting all over. It was, who is that? As he fell to the ground again and clinging to his chest. Are you alright, young man? I'm fine. Who are you? Oh, young man, you've not heard of me. I feel so sad. My name is All Might. All Might? Oh, so you're All Might. That is quite unusual. Most people would have heard of me. Do you want an autograph? No thanks. I am thankful that you saved me. It's just, I don't like using markers. And I don't like people using up too much paper. Oh, recycling is good for the planet. You are a very good young man. Well, I don't like seeing nature get harmed. Ah, yes. Maybe one day you might be on a council and might be able to run a park. But may I quickly ask, before I go and as I'm collecting the villain, what is your quirk? I saw a few stalks growing out of him, but I thought that was a branch from a tree he might have ran past. No, my quirk is called chlorokinesis. I can control and manipulate plant matter. And that stalk growing out of him was a few rice grains. Rice grains? Yes. Rice absorbs a lot of water, so I thought I could try. It was working towards the start, but I didn't have enough seeds on me. Ah, you're a very smart young man. Absorbing most of the body with water that has water inside of it would have made him shrink. Yeah, I was able to breathe, but only just for a second. Well, what a fine young man you are. By any chance, are you going to be a hero? The very tall and imposing man with a very, very bright smile asked intuitively, yes, I'm trying to be. I look up to Comely Woods, actually. I like his wood-based quirk. It's more suited to me, you know. I'm not saying I'm not a fan. It's just, people tend to look up to idols they can relate to. I don't take it as offense, young man. I just see it as a one new fan that I can help through everyday life. Well, I hope you plan on applying for UA because I might be going to teach there, but don't tell anybody I said to you that. Call it I guess call it a secret gift for not being there in time. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for saving me again. And as All Might jumped away, Deku just felt a sense of, I guess, fear and urgency that if he wants to become a hero, he'll need to train and his developer's quirk. It was very powerful from what the doctors said, but he was always too afraid to use it, or he only used it to grow and speed along some of his garden. So we are going to fast forward a bit to the entrance exam. After, well, sorry, I should say 10 months. He decides to go to he decides to train his quirk at a local beach because he has been looking for an opportunity to clean it up. And Ibarra decides to drop by and help him with his training as well, as she wanted to be able to have better fine control over the vines on her hair, and thought what it'd be a sin to leave all this mess here as well. So as they got a permit to clean out Dagobah Beach, they spent the few months, well, just cleaning up the city beach and training their quirks in the process. Deku has now gotten to the point where he can completely. He takes only a few seconds for him to grow a fully formed tree, and he knows an easy way of keeping the plant life around him. Well, well, what is available in the city to his advantage by the dirt of all things. So he has learned that the dirt has microorganisms and small seeds that he can tap into. He tries to do a similar thing with sand and was able to make small patches of grass on the beach. Wow. I know that the doctor said that it was powerful enough to develop even microorganisms, but I didn't expect that. Ibarra was quite impressed too, because she didn't even see a speck of dirt, yet he was able to form a plant from it. And so, over the next few months, he decides to get even learn as much as he can about plants and all the different types of cells that he can develop and reproduce to make other small plants variations, as well as learn ways to manipulate the plant life that's already around him. He has his family has been contracted by the city to help with parks and small recreational areas development. And his dad decided to ask Izuku if he could, thought it might be a good idea to help him, I guess, maximize his quirk as much as possible when it comes to using it and being able to draw out the life of plants. So he decides to bring him to one of his empty lots and says, "Okay, my boy, I want you to take out a fistful of seeds from this bag and throw it as hard as you can." Um, okay. He grabs a fistful of seeds from the sack that was standing right next to where Sashi was, and throw it as hard as he could. Right, good. Now I want you to be able to grow and manipulate the direction of the grass. Okay. As he starts growing, he realizes that he's able that the speed is very slow when it comes to multiple objects. So his father pointed out to him and said, "See, my boy, your quirk is powerful, but it is yet unrefined. You're able to grow things at substantial rates. However, you never learnt to control multiple plant life at one time. Being able to grow multiple plants at once is what can change a single rescue operation or even a attack into a flawless victory. I once, when I was young, tried to become a hero. However, I just found that I wasn't very suited to it. I had the same weakness as you did. I relied too much on my quirk in one asset and neglected the other. I was too focused on the vines that I was able to produce and less how to manipulate them. And because of that, I wasn't able to go very far. But I don't care about that now because that failure led me to one of my greatest successes, meeting Inko and having you and Ibarra. After hearing the words of encouragement, he pondered to himself, "Alright, how do I get plants to grow faster in a large number?" He and after pondering to himself a bit, he said, "That's it. I'm gonna do that." So he grabs another fistful of seeds for the grass and goes to another empty spot with just a patch of dirt and throws it as hard as he can to spread them out. He decides if he cannot quickly grow all of them out once, he's gonna interlock them together. They're all gonna grow they're all going to form into one single plant, and he's able to accelerate their growth to an extreme level. Hisashi just is in amazement. Wow. You're even smarter than I thought, kid. I thought you were just going to keep practicing at it until you got faster, but you seem to defy my wildest expectations. Being able to grow, instead of just growing multiple things, you decided, instead of just 5 or 6 growing faster at a time, you decided to link them all together and treat it as one plant. That's very astute of you. But that's but we're still not done here. So if you wouldn't mind able to speed up the process, your mother is currently out at the moment shopping, so I would ask her to help me with this, but I thought it'd be much better. So after the 10 months had passed, he had decided to he had decided to get in some extra studying before he had gone to the entrance exam for UA. He was studying very hard the week before, and on the day of the entrance exam had arrived, he was fully prepared and ready. Alright, I can do this. He gives his sister a determined look and then says, "We'll both become heroes." As they both walk in, he decides to let his sister go on in front of him, and that's when he trips and falls and gets, but he doesn't hit the ground. He's caught by something wrapping around his waist. Excuse me. Uh, oh, thank you. Sorry I used my quirk without realizing. I just saw you fall and I didn't want to see you get hurt. He turned around to see a girl with long dark green hair and a very long tongue extending from her mouth. I just caught you with my tongue as all. Oh, thank you very much. My name is Izuku Midoriya. How about you? Uh, my name is Tsuyu Asui, but most people just call me Sue. Okay, Asui. It was nice to meet you. I said Sue, but it was nice to meet you too. As he was kind of entranced, he could tell just by looking at her that her quirk was that of a frog, and he always liked amphibians. He didn't know why. Maybe it was due to them having such a close relationship with plants and living in rainforests. But he decided to go into the testing areas, and after the after the entrance exam had started, he had gone to the theory test and got very high, especially in science. High in biology, and then high in all other fields of chemistry that had life. After all, he was the plant nerd, as they called him, always excelling in those facets of science. Then came the practical. He was not in the same area as his sister. They had, even though their ID numbers were one after another, they were placed in different city blocks, which she had just said it probably is to stop you from helping your friends. Yeah, I guess that could be it. So as we go on to the City A block, they were getting all ready for testing to now start, as he sees the green-haired girl again, and decides to go have a conversation with her and wish her luck. But a very stern and strict-looking blue-haired boy started speeding up and walking towards him. Can I help you? Yes, maybe focus on what you're doing instead of going up. I can see you're trying to talk to her. Are you trying to psych her out before you start? No, no. Then just leave her be. You can talk after the test. He was not giving him a chance to speak, and as they were having that small butt-in with Ida, he heard President Mike talking. All right. Now, when I say start, everybody goes. As the gates start opening, and everybody's just staying there, and Izuku just realized what he had done, and then just runs. Everybody's like, "What is he doing?" President Mike's like, "Go! There is no starting in a real battle." As they, as he was started to, as everybody started to swarm out the gates, Izuku had brought gone towards many different parts of the city block, he was going towards where the park was. Everybody just was wondering why he was running past all the robots, and just thinking, is he an idiot? He's gonna get hurt if they all chase him. However, this was what he wanted. He led them towards the park, and then decided to turn around as they had a bunch of the robots behind, forming in a line behind him. He's, he then puts his hand to the ground and says, "Frenzy of plants." And then a bunch of the trees started growing and warping, and form into massive whips, and start slamming down the robots, crushing them instantly. Everybody was shocked. What was that? The trees just turned into whips. They started banging down on the robots repeatedly, and whenever getting close, the robots would just be destroyed. And since there were so many around the massive park, he was just racking up points left, right, and center. Now, when there was no more robots besides the park area, he decided to go up to a few plants, pick a few off, and says, "Sorry, I'm gonna borrow you for a second. Here." He had a weird habit of speaking to plants like they're human. However, people didn't actually realize he could speak to plants on a basic level. He could speak to them as if they were living through pheromones, and he developed it without realizing and just never told anybody. And after picking a few pieces of branches off of trees and shrubs, he regrew them back before running out towards the rest of the robots. He snapped off a twig of a tree, and then decided to grow it out to a massive size, becoming that of a wooden sword. However, this this branch was much stronger than just regular wood, because as Deku decided to slam the trunk down to get another point on a robot, it broke through the metal. People were just seeing, what's up with that? What's up with that stick? It's very strong, or is the metal very weak? However, he had another ability that he discovered. He can enhance plants not only to grow faster, but grow stronger, more dense. He had condensed the wood down to the point where it was just as heavy as metal and just as durable, if not more, becoming almost like bamboo. So after smacking a few of the robots around, he felt a tremor before anybody else did, because he was able to sense from the roots below the ground that there was something big approaching. And he decided to run in the direction to see what it was. And then he was shocked to see the giant 0-point robot from the display earlier. What? How do they expect people to defeat that? He was just stammering them to himself. It's so huge. He was contemplating running away after seeing it towering over the buildings, but he heard a scream call out, "Help me!" It was the same girl from earlier. It was the green-haired girl that saved him from tripping. After seeing her trapped underneath rubble and unable to move, he rushed out. He don't know why he did it, but he went, "I'll tell her to move," as he threw the stick that he was holding into his hand right into the chest of the robot. As he created a small vine that was attached to the back of it, and was able to use his quirk to send a shock of energy up into the stick. Ultimate move, Tree of Life, as the twig that grew into a stick now grows into a massive tree, scaling as tall as the robot. It's breaking the electronics inside of it and planting itself deep into the ground. The robot was just impaled and skewered by this attack. Not being able to move, he quickly rushed over to Sue, who was now trying to wrestle herself free and push up the rubble as hard as much as he could. There, you able to get out? Yeah, thank you. And as she was saying thanks, the time had gone up. Come on, let's get you to recovery, girl. As when she was being pulled out, she said, "Thank you for saving me." No, it's all right. Let's just call it even for you helping me earlier. Uh, I guess. But I just want to say thank you again anyway, because you went out of your way. You could have been badly hurt. And you could have died or been badly hurt yourself. So, just call it even, okay? And they did. And so she decided to drop it for now. So Deku had gotten home, he met up with Ibarra along the way. Ibarra said, "I reckon I went well. I destroyed 48 of the unholy heathens." "You mean robots, right?" It's like, "Yes, whatever you want to call them." She said while still having a heavenly look about her. You still love religion, don't you?" "How could one not love the Lord? It is heathenish not to." "Does that mean your brother is heathenish?" "My brother is a special case. The Lord loves everybody equally, even if thou art love the Lord as in return." Whatever you say. And this is where I'm going to leave part 1, and also my 100k, not my 100k, God I wish, my 100 subs special. Now, I'm going to quickly say thank you very much for people who managed to get me to 100 subs, and even more now. I've only been doing this just roughly over a week now, and it is massive having the support and being able to do this. Yeah, I thank you all very much for listening to my what ifs, being very supportive of my videos. I'm sorry if this video is not as flowy or complex. I basically got pushed. I was planning on writing a small script for this one and then voicing it, but Crown, whether it's good or whether it's bad, which I just find it funny, is he was just like, you know, I'm gonna give this man small workload, and yeah, pushed me to 100 subs, so I put out the special. I hope people will like it, and comment down if you want to see more. Like if you enjoyed it, I guess, and if you want to see more, I guess. I'm trying to be more of a YouTuber. I see this more as fun, but yeah. Who knows? If you push me 200, I might be putting up more work. People that joined me from the stream today and managed to watch all the way through, I thank you very much. And yeah, you're gonna be expecting a lot more content from me over the next few weeks, because I kind of made a promise. Anyway, this is King of Underworld, and peace out, you beautiful people.